experience you have at this stage, are you still afraid of saying no?
Am I afraid of saying no? Wow. It's interesting. I don't say no as much as the rejection I've had. I've had a lot of no's. So, hearing no is hard. Saying no, I don't have to say no as often anymore. I think maybe what no to a bit about what Tyra was saying before about having fear of confrontation. Sometimes I have to tell myself no. I have that same fear. I was that good girl in school. I was told, you're doing everything right. You're doing everything right. Just sit there and be good, right? That many young girls, to behave, we listen, we say, okay, we're going to be that good girl. So now I have to tell myself, no, it's okay not to be that good girl and to speak up and to voice your opinion. I mean, my poor husband, he's been like my guinea pig because I've been coming out of the shell and I'm like, no, to him more and more and more. And he's the one that takes the brunt of it. God love him. But I guess I've had to say no to myself more, to give myself the okay to, speak my mind.
Okay,
You know
Jodi,
what,
are
everyone?
you ready? Wait, Jodi's coaching moment. Are you ready?
Okay.
Now, Tyra, you're going to like this. Now it's her turn. I have that same fear as what you said. Raise that right hand. My name is Jodi.
My name is Jodi.
I used to have that fear.
I used to have that fear.
I don't have to have it anymore.
God, my poor husband. It's going to get worse.
Gosh, I never experienced so much coasting in such a little piece of time we have right now. Listen, do you know what, everyone watching? We actually asked Gretchen Carlson, the former American broadcast journalist with Fox News and CBS News. This is, by the way, also a New York Times bestselling author of Be Fierce. And I know that word fierce is just down Tara's alley. Now, Gretchen kicked off probably one of the biggest movements in recent memory, the Me Too movement. A case inspiring the 2019 Academy Award-winning film Bombshell, featuring the downfall of Fox News co-founder Roger Ailes. She, by the way, also was instrumental in initiating the Sexual Harassment Act of 2021. And in 2017, she was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. I think, everyone, it's time to run the BCG minute. Here it comes.
Hi everyone, this is Gretchen Carlson. So if you're familiar with my story, you know that 5.5 years ago, I jumped off the cliff in deciding to sue Roger Ailes at Fox News. He was the chairman and CEO, and I sued him for sexual harassment. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, and it took courage that I had built up since I was a child to be able to do that. How did I ever know that I would help to ignite a movement that we are still in now? And I'm happy to say that less than 2 weeks ago, after 5 years of working and walking the halls of Congress, that I was able to pass legislation that I have been advocating for, to not force women who are harassed or assaulted into the secret chamber of forced arbitration, but instead to be able to have your day in court. This is a new beginning for my nonprofit, Lift Our Voices, and it's going to affect millions of workers, and it is the biggest labor law change in 100 years. So my question for you today is, it's about courage. What is your jumping off the cliff moment in your life, and how did it benefit you?
What an amazing story. You can only, admire what Gretchen has done. Listen, I'll start with you, Jodi. What's your answer?
Well, I've known Gretchen for a couple of years now, and she is an absolute amazing woman. She is very courageous. So me jumping off a cliff, I can't say I actually jumped off a cliff. I think as I've been climbing my mountain, I've been rolling down backwards many, many times. and then I get back up and I keep climbing up. But I think, starting a business that I knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about the toy industry, the publishing industry, how to market, to manufacture over in China, how to get it to the United States. I knew nothing about that. So that is one thing. That was my first courage. My second courage was when I realized I was in the business of social change and I needed to challenge the status quo and I needed to stay strong for all the girls. And when when I've done my work and I've wanted to quit so many different times, I think it's so much more important than me, than my feelings, than what I have to move forward. It's about our future. It's not even just about our girls. It's how our boys view our girls. It's just, it's like that butterfly wing that creates a hurricane, right? It's not going to change the world, but it is one thing that could help change the world. So I continue to have courage, and I surround myself with people like Gretchen who give me courage and who have done amazing things.
Well said. Tyra, what's your thinking here?
So many years ago, probably 25 years ago, I used to be very honest and show my real raw self before it was like hashtag no makeup selfies and all that. This is way back in the day, decades ago. And I did a book, I showed my face. I would just do it all the time. And people would be like, oh my God, you're so brave. You're so courageous. But I wasn't brave and I wasn't courageous because it didn't make me fearful. I wasn't fearful of it. I wasn't nervous. It was just like, this is what I look like with no wig, no makeup. Y'all didn't need to see that this morning. But back then it was something that I used to do often. And I did not feel brave or courageous because there was no fear involved. Years later, I was doing some shooting for America's Next Top Model in Australia on a beach. And I had on a swimsuit. And I was thicker than my normal body at the time. A paparazzi shot some photos of me. I go back home. I'm on the cover of every tabloid. America's Next Top Model, Tyra Shanks. How did she gain 100 pounds overnight? All this stuff. And I laughed it off until I was in the grocery store in line. Tabloid was there. A woman was behind me, not impressed with me at all. She just looks at it and she goes, Tyra, if they're calling you fat, what am I? And I was like, I stopped laughing and realized I was probably laughing to keep from crying and decided to do something about it. A week later, I had a talk show at the time. I surprised my entire staff that we were going to do a show about it, and they knew that. But at the last minute, instead of putting on a suit, I had my stylist pull out the swimsuit from that Australia photo shoot. And I said, I'm wearing that for the show. And everybody's like, what? In the hair and makeup room, I'm walking backstage. Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. Even one of my EPs, executive producers, didn't know I was doing this. I walked out, gave this whole just emboldened, impassioned speech about body image, not just about me being a fashion model at the time and a host, but about women, girls in school. And we're told that we have to look a certain way. And the last thing I said was, kiss my fat ass. And I hit my butt. And I started crying, boo-hooing. Finished that segment, finished the whole show, ran to the control room to the director and says, let me do it over. The audience is still here. Let me do that over because I can't cry. I need to show strength. I can't be vulnerable. I can't show that this got to me and I got to be strong for everybody. And he was very dramatic. He turned off every screen on the TVs, the huge control room. And he says, go home. It was raw. And it was real. And this is airing in 2 weeks. I did not sleep for 2 weeks. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, my body's out there. I'm crying. And it turns out it aired. It was one of the highest rated shows ever. We won an Emmy for that show. I won an Emmy for it. And then I had joined Martin on the list of the 100 most influential people in the world. And that was before body positivity and, all of the stuff that we're dealing with today. And I say I was brave and it was courageous because I was friggin' scared. And my son came home from school the other day and said, Mommy, if you're not scared, it's not bravery. And he's right.